T minus 30 seconds. T minus 20 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
I don't have to tell you things are bad. Everybody knows things are bad. It's a depression. Everybody's out of work or scared of losing their job. The dollar buys a nickel's worth. Banks are going bust. Shopkeepers keep a gun under the counter. Punks are running wild in the street, and there's nobody anywhere who seems to know what to do, and there's no end to it. We know the air is unfit to breathe, and our food is unfit to eat. We sit watching our TVs while some local newscaster tells us that today we had 15 homicides and 63 violent crimes, as if that's the way it's supposed to be. We know things are bad, worse than bad. They're crazy. It's like everything everywhere is going crazy, so we don't go out anymore. We sit in the house, and slowly the world we're living in is getting smaller, and all we say is, please, at least leave us alone in our living rooms. Let me have my toaster and my TV and my steel-belted radios, and I won't say anything. Just leave us alone. Well, I'm not going to leave you alone. I want you to get mad. I don't want you to protest. I don't want you to riot. I don't want you to write to your congressman because I wouldn't know what to tell you to write. I don't know what to do about the depression and the inflation and the Russians and the crime in the street. All I know is that first, you've got to get mad. You've got to say, I'm a human being. My life has value.
Good afternoon, good evening, everybody, and welcome to Global Watchman News. My name is Lori Swan, and I'm joined tonight by my co-host, Ernie Beware. If you are in the live chat, we do ask that you keep it family friendly. There will be moderators in there to make sure we stay within the terms of service put forth to us by the platforms we're utilizing tonight. If you're new to the channel, welcome. Take a minute, hit that subscribe button, hit that bell so you know when we go live. Hey, Ernie.
What's going on, Lori? What's going on, chat? Shut up, Linda.
Shut up, Sandy. Nobody's talking to you. No, I'm just kidding.
Tina, come get some dinner.
Apparently, the audience is way too young to know what that movie came from. I was informed that I aged myself when we were talking before we came live. In case you're wondering, that's from the movie Grease.
You more than aged yourself, Lori.
I know.
I think you got Jesus's beeper number.
I'm old. I know, I am. I'm old. Anyway, so I want to take this opportunity to welcome everybody into our chat. Now, I do want to put this out there. We had, today when I created this this link tonight for tonight's show, a person came into our chat by the name of the Shark Tank. What was it?
It was something with Navy.
Hold on a second. I'll tell you. His name was the Navy Shark. So for my moderators, if he happens to come into the chat while we are live, please let me know. I would like to invite him up on the panel with us because he put some information into our chat room that was very helpful and it helped me with the topic that we're talking about tonight, which is we have another crisis coming up, don't we, Ernie?
The least of it, but yeah, I mean, this one just happened under the radar while we were too busy worrying about the Queen and what's going on in Europe.
Yeah,
I mean, things on our own land is starting to pop off a little bit, huh?
Yeah. And what we're going to talk about tonight is the upcoming railroad strike, and I'm going to play a video for us to kind of set the tone and to start us off, and then we're gonna kind of catapult off this information. So let's pull this up. I do want to give a shout out to BP EarthWatch for this information. I will put the link in his description or in the description to his. I will put the link in our description to his channel, so you can go over there and you can follow him as well. So here we go.
September the 12th, 2022. As you're looking at an article this morning from Zero Hedge, it says U.S. railroads enact contingency plans, preparing for labor strike as union talks fail. We've covered this all through the summer. They had 60 days to negotiate. That didn't work. So the Fed stepped in, gave them another 60 days, 30 days to arbitrate, and then 30 days as a cooling off period. Well, that ends Thursday at midnight on the 16th. It says railroads and labor unions worked through the weekend to make a deal. There were little signs of progress, and rail companies are now taking steps Monday, that's today, to secure shipments of hazardous and security-sensitive materials in light of the possibility of a railroad strike. This is from the Association of American Railroads, or AAR. They wrote this in a statement. Now, this is all combining with the other thing that we've been talking about, is that at the end of this month, September 25th, starts Rosh Hashanah. Then you go into Yom Kippur. In those 2 weeks, the last week in September, first week in October, have always been associated with major downturns on the world economy. Stock market crash in 1929, the housing markets in 07 and 08. And going back, there's been probably 10 that all coincide with not only those two high holy days, but other factors. So it's like a plan design all coming together now to shut everything down. On Sunday, Norfolk Southern released a statement detailing it had begun enacting its contingency plans for a controlled shutdown of our network, again at 0100 hours, or 1 minute after midnight on Thursday night, Friday morning. The railroad said 2 labor unions are holding out on new contracts. We still do not have a commitment not to strike and must act accordingly, adding, our goal is to ensure that in the event of a work stoppage, crews, equipment, and freight safety reach their destinations with minimal disruption. Now, the 2 big boys, Union Pacific and CSX, also announced contingency plans for a possible work stoppage. And now, Union Pacific is pretty much the largest. They're owned by the stockholders of BlackRock. It says BNSF told customers to call Congress so lawmakers on Capitol Hill can intervene to prevent or quickly resolve the service disruption if a labor strike materializes on Friday. The railroad also said, we will begin to take steps to manage and secure the shipments of hazardous and security-sensitive materials as early as Monday. That's a repeat from the start of this. It says rail freight networks are the arteries of the U.S. economy. And if you look at this map from the Association of American Railroads, you can see that you've got the different lines, different colors, but look how much they tie in, especially the eastern half of the U.S. You've got major hubs coming off the West Coast ports, but then it really gets thick along the East Coast, much more population. You're getting out of the desert, and you've got a lot of ports up and down that East Coast, also in the Gulf of Mexico. But guys, if this happens, it will be a complete shutdown. Food in the grocery stores are going to become very scarce. These stores replenish their stock about every 3 days, and without these trains rolling, you're going to have some deliveries that are in the warehouses now, but things are going to start to get thin, and they're going to start to get more expensive. The railroad workers, the unions, are not happy. They said that instead of it being a great job like it used to be working with the railroad, now they are looked down upon, longer hours, less pay, rougher conditions, and they just feel like they're being used. And I'm sure that the railroad had suffered what is called quiet quitting. In other words, you don't quit, you just slow down on what you're doing, basically bringing it to a very slow crawl. Now, 2 months ago, that's when I did that second video. The Biden administration imposed this 2-month cooling off period, and it's set to expire again Thursday night at midnight. Said after that, President Biden didn't have the power to prevent a strike among 2 labor unions that had yet hammered out a deal with railroads. Only Congress can intervene after the cooling period expires. Bloomberg said the 2 unions include the Brotherhood of Locomotive Engineers and Trainmen and the International Association of Sheet Metal, Air, Rail, and Transportation Workers, accounting for more than 90,000 rail employees. 10 of the other unions have already struck a deal with railroads. Association of American Railroads warned that a railroad strike could cost the U.S. economy up to $2 billion per day. While disruption wouldn't be good optics for the Biden administration ahead of the midterm elections in November, but what is the plan? Is it a complete shutdown? Is it a complete reset? But guys, again, like they said, with the midterms coming up in just a couple months here, will Congress step in for optics only and try to do something to show that they're doing something? And if they don't, who will be blamed? Which side? Well, right now, the Democrats are in control. So which side would be to blame for a railroad strike that could cripple the nation? Bloomberg intelligence analyst Lee Klaskala pointed out that the BNSF and Union Pacific account for 45% of Class 1 intermodal traffic, while CSX and Norfolk Southern has 31%. According to the government data, about 29% of all U.S. freight moves on the rails. Half the cargo is bulk commodities such as energy, food, chemicals, metals, and wood production. The other half is shipping containers of consumer goods. Even a temporary interruption would create a devastating ripple effect across U.S. supply chains. This is coming from the American Bakers Association, a Washington-based trade group representing more than 300 companies. They warned, even if there's no strike, rail networks are already clogged. Shipping line Maersk, which you see the big ships and cargo containers, recently suspended import bookings through Fort Worth, Texas, due to severe congestion in the rail yards. Railroads are preparing for possible work stoppages at the end of the week if the 2 unions can't formulate a deal. There's the possibility Congress could intervene before the cooling period expires. If not, then expect a flare-up and snarled supply chains. Now, it's not completely clear what Congress can do. I know they can order them back to work, but what did I mention in this video? What's called quiet quitting. Not really quitting, still getting a check, just not much work getting done. It's kind of a strike in a sense itself. But guys, we're watching this. Are you ready for your food supplies at the grocery stores to start dwindling and start seeing a rush on different things like before a hurricane? Because if this goes down, that's what you're going to see. Are you going to wait till Friday to try to get a little extra food to stock up, get other supplies you need? If you do that, you're going to be caught up in what I call a tsunami of chaos. It will be the beginning of it, but it's not going to get better. You should have already had everything you need. We've talked about it for years, and now we are at that point, guys. We're watching this. Please prepare. It's a heads up. Be safe.
All right, that was put out by BP EarthWatch earlier today, and I did pull up the article that he got it from, the Zero Hedge article, but he made some very good points, and I'm going to just reiterate some of these. So to start with, they had 60 days to negotiate. This has started a few months back, and they had 60 days to negotiate. That didn't work. So the federal government stepped in, and they gave them another 60 days. And that was going to be for 30 days to arbitrate and 30 days to cool down. And that ends at midnight on the 16th. So we're talking Friday. So this is something that we're looking at. Also, he had mentioned about the role that railroad plays in our supply chain. I don't think people really realize the amount of cargo, the amount of freight that travels on our rail system every day. Most of the things that are brought into this country at the ports, a lot are put on trucks, but the majority are put on what is called the intermodal system. That is, they are put the shipping containers are taken right off of the ships and placed on the rail system, and then they are transported. Then they're picked up by truck and taken to their final destination. This right here, if you look at this, what does this remind you of, Ernie?
I think it reminds me of some type of network or like veins or.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what I was looking for, the answer. This is literally the rail system is the circulatory system of our nation. And what happens when a vein or an artery gets shut off? You have what's known as necrosis or death. So if any one of these companies, and I believe there are 4 major ones. They're Norfolk Southern, Union Pacific, BNSF, and CSX. Those are the 4 main arteries, you might say, of our country.
Fact of the matter is, I can't say for the other ones, but I believe Norfolk Southern is actually owned by one of the elites.
I think they all are. And I believe they were all created by members of the 13 Illuminati families back when the railroad was the main source of transportation for everything. During the Industrial Revolution. I know it's changed hands quite a few times, but I believe that if you follow the money far enough up on these companies, you would probably get into companies like the Bilderbergs or people like the Bilderbergs. So yeah, I'm sure they own it. They own everything.
Oh yeah. Every aspect of our lives, in order for us to function, is owned by them.
Exactly. So Norfolk Southern, let me pull this up. Let me read this to you guys. Norfolk Southern. So today the railroads have, they're starting to prepare. Okay. Norfolk Southern, Union Pacific, I said, and BFF and CSX are the 4 main ones. And they will be issuing embargoes on certain shipments beginning early this week. Railroads have until Friday to reach an agreement with its 2 of the largest rail unions, the International Association of Sheet Metal, Air, Rail, and Transportation Workers, the Transportation Division, the SMART TD, and the Brotherhood of the Locomotive Engineers and Trainmen. Brotherhood. Listen to that.
Yep.
Norfolk Southern will close all its gates to the intermodal traffic on Tuesday starting at 12 p.m. according to the contingency plan released last Friday. The railroad also said in a separate service update it will embargo all automotive traffic beginning on Wednesday. What this means is that all of the shipyards, the train yards, that all of these trains, they have hubs in all of the major cities. And what they do is you transport to the hub. Here in Chicago, we've got quite a few train yards. I know of at least 7 or 8 of them. And they're huge. I mean, they're gigantic. And they're full of intermodal trailers, which are those green, orange, white trailers that you see on the trains. And they're going to close these down. That means that by Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 3 days, by Thursday, we're going to start seeing the shortages on our shelves. And that's why BP EarthWatch said, do not wait until Friday to stock up. He also reminded you guys, and we've been telling you this for years, CSX, BNSF, and Union Pacific have halted all traffic of hazardous materials on Monday due to the threat of spontaneous labor action, according to Association of American Railroads. List of active embargoes. I'll pull that up, see what that's giving us. Norfolk Southern, CSX, said the embargoes were necessary to ensure that critical or even toxic freight is not left abandoned. They're thinking ahead, and they're thinking far enough ahead where I believe a lot of people are saying this is maybe only going to last 2 or 3 days. I think they're thinking it's going to last a lot longer than 2 or 3 days. The problem with it is once the strike hits, once it hits midnight, I believe a lot of these trains are going to be stopped where they are and abandoned. So if these hazardous chemicals are left unattended, we could have another situation on our hands. Norfolk Southern, CSX, said the embargoes are necessary to ensure that critical or even toxic freight is not left abandoned. We must ensure that hazardous or other security-sensitive freight is properly secured so it is not left stranded in the event of a sudden strike. Norfolk Southern said the service update. The railroad noted it would resume full operations if a labor agreement is reached. SMART TD President Jeremy Ferguson and BLET President Dennis Pierce said in a joint statement that railroad embargoes constitute an unnecessary attack on rail shippers. The railroads use shipping, consumers, and the supply chain of our nation as pawns in an effort to get our unions to cave into their contract demands, knowing that our members would never accept them, he said. Rail carriers had struck agreements with 10 of the 12 unions, announcing new contracts on Sunday with groups representing boilermakers and maintenance employees. SMART TDB and BLET continued to negotiate with rail carriers, which were represented by the National Carriers Conference Committee. An emergency labor dispute board appointed by President Joe Biden issued baseline recommendations last month to facilitate an agreement, and a federally mandated cooling off period is set to expire after midnight on Friday. So the potential for this, for the ramifications of this are pretty bleak.
That is correct. And I don't know if you've seen the highlight I put on the screen here from Richard. He does have a point because railroads counts towards contributing to the nation's infrastructure.
Yes.
Just like the airline pilots. If it goes down, they can be forced back to work. But as noted in the article I sent you earlier, we're dealing with the Democrats who are trying to maintain a good standard with the American people. So that's a good time for them to invoke that. But will they? It remains to be seen.
Exactly. And if you see, it says 30 days. Well, guys, if we went without railroad for 30 days, the ramifications of that are deadly. There are not enough truckers or trucks in this country to get the cargo from point A to point B. There's just not enough of them. So anything so this is going to have a trickle down effect. This is going to also affect the ports, the marina, the marine ships that are coming into ports. Remember what happened last year when the thing we're not supposed to talk about hit? We were seeing ships that were docked along the the port of Los Angeles. They were just sitting out there. They couldn't get in to get unloaded because the docks didn't have enough manpower to do that. Well, the same thing is going to happen. All of these ships are going to continue to come into these ports, the port of Los Angeles, up in the port of the Pacific Northwest. We've got the Houston ports. We've got Miami. We've got Wilmington, Delaware, New York ports. All of these ships that you see in the Atlantic and Pacific are going to continue to come to the United States, but they're going to the cargo that they're carrying is not going to be able to get to our shelves. A lot can happen in 30 days. Yes, the U.S. government can demand them to go back to work, but that's 30 days.
Right. And it's going to cost the country roughly $2 billion per day.
Right.
That none of the rail systems are online. So imagine if it goes a full 30 days. That's $60 billion.
Yeah.
And that could kill the economy.
That could be the kill shot for the economy. Absolutely, it could be. Absolutely. I was talking to somebody earlier. I don't know if it was you. I don't remember. I talked to so many people today. Here's another one. But I talked to somebody today. I think I was talking to Sean, and he was saying that to beware of a false flag because the Democrats, we've got midterms coming up, and they're going to do whatever they can to cause chaos before this happens. So we gotta watch for that too. Here's railroads prepared to secure the hazmat security sensitive shipments due to the labor uncertainty. Of course, we talked about that. Now, when I made today's link and I put it up, there was somebody that came in the chat room, and I thought this was interesting. This is the reason for the dispute. He says it's not just about the raises that haven't had in over 6 years, but the lack of quality of life. The carriers implemented a new attendance policy during this time. We can now face getting fired if we take time off to go to the doctors for cancer or heart issues. They gave us basically 1 day off a month. We don't have a set schedule or even days off. We are expected to be able to work 24/7, 365. We have people quitting this job and taking 40 to 50% cuts in pay just for the quality of life, both for health and families. The carriers refuse to negotiate on an attendance policy. So if this gentleman does come into the chat, or if you are listening right now, if you could type in the chat, I would like to welcome you to come on and talk to us about this, because you're not the only one that has been talking about this attendance policy. This is something that this is the main cause of the dispute right now.
I mean, that's in direct violation of multiple labor laws on itself. And the fact that they're not being held accountable for it is quite disturbing to me.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And, like you said, $2 billion a day, that's quite a hit for us. And if it's just a dispute, you're in HR.
Mm-hmm.
What would this, if you were working with a company and somebody said this, tell us how you would handle this on an HR level.
Well, that one is probably going to be above me, because that will have to be escalated up to the National Labor Relations Board.
Okay.
In which they will have to be able to investigate and take care of that. But it is a big deal for if a regular company would commit such a heinous act with their employees.
Yeah.
Because a regular hourly worker before overtime can reach 40 hours. Afterwards, they're entitled to overtime. They're not mandated to work above that. And they threaten somebody's job of working above what their pay scale is. That can pose as a huge labor problem. And as far as like salaried employees, that's the slippery slope there, because salaried employees can be required to work as many hours as they need.
Wow. Well, if the strike happens, I'm reading this from another, this is from, looks like NBC. It says, if the strike happens, the report from the AAR's policy and economics team, which uses historical data from the Federal Railroad Administration, states that the 140,000-mile network of rails across 49 states and 7,000 Class 1 trains would be idled, and the impact would cripple both the movement of trade and commuters. So we're not just talking about the railroads that carry freight, but we're also talking about Amtrak and the commuter trains, I believe, too.
Absolutely. So it's going to have a big effect on everything. I mean, people who order cars through their dealership, they won't have their cars delivered through this.
Right.
People who order things overseas,
Yeah, like I
usually
said,
transfer through the train. So
I mean, these ships are still going to be coming over they're still going to be leaving the ports over in China, Hong Kong, coming over here, and to just sit. And we know what kind of effect that had to us last time. You remember the old toilet paper shortage of 2020? Yeah,
absolutely.
So.
But the fact of we have to question, how did we let this happen? It is complete oversight by our federal government. It's complete oversight by the companies that are involved in this dispute. And it is the unions not reacting that the way that they are supposed to protect its workers.
The unions haven't been unions haven't been doing what the unions are supposed to do for decades.
Absolutely.
I'm not a fan of Capone at all. But when he was running the union, shit got done. I think that the unions haven't been doing their job in quite a long time.
Yeah, it's more about politics than it is workers' rights.
Right, exactly. Yes, Tricia, this is on purpose. I firmly believe this is on purpose. I firmly believe this has something to do with the midterms that are coming. I do believe this is going to set us up for catastrophic failure for our economy, and it is by design.
And right, and it takes a good amount of digging to find these types of news in mainstream, because everybody's head is pointed towards the monarch.
Right.
And while everybody's eyes are that way, things are going behind the scenes the other way.
Hoffa, you're right. I'm sorry. My mistake, please. You're right. It was not Capone that ran it. It was Hoffa. My mistake. I apologize. Before we get any further, Hoffa. Jimmy Hoffa ran the Teamsters, not Capone. Sorry, Ernie. Okay. Where do you? Let's talk a little bit about let's talk a little bit about the midterms. Let me ask you a question, Ernie. Do you think that the government, the Democrats, are capable of pulling off a false flag, like to blame maybe Russia?
I wouldn't put it past them, but we know both sides are part of the same bird. So they're all working together. So it doesn't matter whether it's a Democrat or a Republican.
Right.
It's going to be all the same body that's going to be contributing to something like that. And you just mentioned about, hazardous materials being stranded. That can create the perfect scenario for that.
Exactly. The infrastructure in the United States, and when we talk complete infrastructure, we're talking railroads, we're talking electrical grid, we're talking water, water supply. It seems as if every single one is systematically getting targeted.
Yeah, you have to put all the puzzle pieces together to conclude that they're all doing that to negatively impact our lives and to kill us off. That's all there is. There should be no other way or reasoning why we have to go through this. It's all by design.
We live in a nation that is the richest nation in the world. We have more food than any other nation. We have access to the cleanest water than any other nation. We have access to electricity like no other nation. And yet, here we are talking about a shutdown, an event that could essentially cripple us as a nation. We could literally be a third world nation by Saturday morning.
Right. And one thing that we haven't been talking about is the demolition of our infrastructure can lead to us being invaded too.
Absolutely.
And it goes beyond just what is going to happen within our borders, but what's going to happen outside of our borders, because the whole world watches the United States and what we're going through.
Mm-hmm.
We're just opening ourselves up to receive an invasion without virtually any means to defend ourselves. I mean, they're not just sending off, oil, gas, food, and electronics and whatnot. They're sending off stuff for weaponry too. Send off materials to create and boost our defense system. We don't have that to upgrade our defense mechanism or produce more. Where does that leave us?
There's a line in the Art of War that says to look strong when you are weak and appear weak when you are strong.
Mm-hmm.
I unfortunately believe we are weak when we are weak right now. I do not think that the current administration would live up to the Art of War at all. I think that the strength that we're exhibiting right now is actually at the strength that we are at. I don't believe we are looking weak when we are strong at all. I think we are weak and we are weak.
And that all ties together on paper to allowing the woke left to take over our country.
Stephen makes a point here. Third world by Saturday, red dawn on Sunday.
Absolutely correct.
I certainly hope that everybody listening has not waited until the last minute to get supplies. We have completely been telling you this for years, and I know a lot of people have always jumped on me for saying, oh my gosh, they're preppers, they're the end of the world, nothing's going to happen. Well, guys, I don't look so crazy now, do I?
It's not about the end of the world. It's not about prepping. It's about making sure that everybody survives.
Yeah, exactly.
And if you haven't gone out now and stock up, what are you doing in chat? Get out of chat.
What are you doing here?
And
Shut
go get
down
some
your computer and get to Dollar General, get to Dollar Tree.
Get off Facebook, get off YouTube, get off TikTok, and go do what you need to do for yourself and your family.
Yeah, go do what you need to do. Yeah, we're keeping an eye on this for sure. Slow Steppin is in chat. He's a fellow truck driver, my brother. He works very closely with a lot of a lot of other drivers out there, and they've been telling us the same thing. If you guys are not following on social media any truck drivers or companies, you should be, because these guys have been warning us all along. I told you guys that I wasn't going to prematurely blow the trumpet and to warn you guys, but I did come on here live a few months ago, and I did let you know that the load boards are depleting. Where there used to be 400 or 500 loads that we could pull off the board to haul, we've only got 5 or 6 or 7. It's gotten that bad.
Definitely is. I mean, ever since I joined you in this channel, I've been talking about the second half of the year is going to be a wild ride. I mean, we're not even halfway through September and things are already popping off.
Yeah, you have said that. We've had numerous conversations where you just said that, I believe that the last half of this year it's going to progressively get worse through December, January, February of next. And I believe that too.
Right. And when it comes to our energy, you think what Europe is going to be experiencing is not going to happen over here? I can almost guarantee it's going to be worse.
Exactly. And there's the old saying, control the food, control the people, control the water, control the people. And that's what we're seeing. We're seeing an attack on the infrastructure, the water infrastructure. We're seeing an attack on the food supply. Guys, starvation is a very powerful motivator. I'm trying to choose my words carefully because I don't want to set off the algorithms, but we're talking. If you've been following me for any length of time, you know the scenario that I've played out for you guys when I've said that when the time came for the mark of the beast, that they were going to make people beg for it. They're going to make people want it, to demand it. I've told you the scenario that's played out in my head for decades, and that is the fact that they are going to starve us and then offer us a solution, problem, reaction, solution. Okay.
It's good old Hegelian dialectic.
Nothing is a more powerful motivator than hunger or thirst. You can only live 3 days without water. You can live longer without food, but only 3 days without water. If you've got young children, think about this for a second. And I know there's a lot of Christians out there, and I know that you're aware of what the mark of the beast is and the ramifications, the consequences if you take it. But let me ask you a question. If you're hungry and you're thirsty and you have young children and they're crying, "Mommy, Daddy, I'm hungry," and you see this in their eyes, and a bus pulls up and they open it up, and the military says to you, "If you want something to eat or drink, come on with us. We'll take you. We have a place for you to go. All you got to do is take this mark." How many people are going to walk away from that knowing that they've just had a death sentence for them and their child? Hunger and thirst is a powerful motivator, and that is exactly what they plan on using.
They sure are. But it's those that doesn't have a firm foundation in Christ is going to be the ones that is going to be weak-minded and be willing to accept it when stuff hits the fan and things become unbearable in the flesh.
Danielle says the most dangerous animal on the planet is a desperate human. Exactly.
Heather, you're right. It is an eternal death sentence. And many believers know that. But are they preparing to go through the tribulation and what's to come? No, they're not.
No. Because unfortunately, we think with our bodies, our carnal desires, our carnal instincts, Think of was it the polo team in Argentina that went down in the plane crash that resulted in cannibalism?
I'm not exactly sure.
Hunger motivates. The Donner Party. The Donner Party, when they got caught in that winter trying to get through the mountains, it resulted in cannibalism. Hunger will make you do things that you would not normally do. And they know this. The elite know this. They know everything about our psyche through the Tavistock Institute. They've been studying us like microorganisms for decades. They know exactly what motivates us. They know exactly what leads us to react in a certain way. They know what they're doing. This is a very calculated attack on the people.
And it's all running under the head of the devil himself.
Yep, absolutely.
Because he's providing them with that knowledge. I mean,
Right.
They're not just getting it through education. They're getting it from the son of perdition. And we can't stress it enough that we are facing a spiritual battle. I mean, the Bible talks about those that endure to the end, not for a short time, not for a week, not for a month, till the very end will be saved. So when the going gets tough, if you're not enduring and you yield to the plans that the elite and Luciferians are establishing on our earth right now, you're not wanted in the kingdom of heaven.
Exactly. And it says here, Ernie had talked about the $2 billion per day. Here we have, it says, the rail strike could disrupt the retail industry giants like Walmart, Target, Home Depot. If domestic trucking rates accelerated again, FedEx, UPS could also be impacted. Economists warn that an extended rail strike could impact food prices and be another contributor to inflation in the U.S. Now, this doesn't just affect the train lines the four main ones, but we also have Canadian Pacific, Canadian National, CSX Corp, the Union Pacific, Berkshire Hathaway, Norfolk Southern, and the Berkshire Infrastructure Partners. Those will also be impacted by this. So it has a trickle-down effect. It may start with just the railroads, but then it's going to go to other aspects of this. Pat says, I got a bad feeling that the dark winter, that they talked about, is just around the corner. I think so too. I do too.
It's almost fact.
Yeah.
This winter is going to make or break us as a nation. And more than likely, it's going to break us.
And from what I heard, Ernie, we're in for a pretty bad winter this winter.
Yes, we are. According to Ryan Hall, we are going to get a ton of snow, especially on the eastern part of the United States.
That's right. Ryan Hall is our weather guy. If you're not following Ryan Hall, y'all on YouTube, you need to. He's been talking a lot about his predictions for this winter, and none of it looked good. You think the summer was bad with all the storms we had? Wait till this winter. And the bad part of that is, yes, in the summertime we have high winds that take down our lines, but in the wintertime we've got the ice that takes down even more of these lines.
You're talking about roofs collapsing. You're talking about erosion. You live by the Great Lakes. You're going to have the lakes are going to rise up to no levels. I remember 6 years ago when Lake Erie received over 6 feet of snow. It pretty much destroyed the peninsula.
Yeah.
We're in for some wild weather this winter.
Exactly. I'm going to pull up Ryan's. He just, was it today or yesterday? He did a video talking about Ryan Hall. Yeah. Today. Oh, yesterday. Here's yesterday. here's exactly how much snow you will see this year. And he's predicting a very low polar jet stream. Let me pull it up here. Here's his prediction. We're looking at 36.1 to 48 inches in the purple. That's kind of where I am. And the other was this darker purple is 24.1 to, or I'm sorry, 24.1 to 36 inches. That's you, Ernie.
Oh, that's below me. We usually get about 100 to 2.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay. Yep. It has 72. More than 72 is in the white. You're in the white area. Wow. Yeah. So this is something that we're talking a bad winter, and this is just going to add to everything.
And keep in mind, I feel for those in California right now because they're going through a heavy energy deficit, and they're not used to being in a cold climate, and they're going to more than likely be well below normal, and not being able to generate heat, that's going to be devastating for that state.
Yeah.
As well as what we're going to see in Europe. And we talked about it the other night, where they can't set the temperatures to above 65 degrees, nor can they burn firewood.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Russia cut off all their gas.
Yep. Yeah. And like I said, they're putting these things into effect. They know what's coming. They know the weather that's going to be coming this winter. They know what they're doing. I talked to my son yesterday. He sent me some pictures. He's up in the Pacific Northwest. He's in Washington State. And he said that he's inside his house and has all the windows shut and everything, and his nose and throat is still burning from the smoke that's in the air up there. It's horrible what's happening in California and the Pacific Northwest with these fires. Granted, it happens every year, but it just doesn't it doesn't make it any easier. Why can't they burn firewood? Because they're saying that with global warming, they don't want you to put any more crap into the atmosphere. As crazy as that is.
When in actuality, the carbon hosts the atmosphere.
Yeah. Let's see what else I got for us. Tomorrow, I believe the new figures for inflation are going to be out. I think we're 8 point something. I saw it on Facebook today. I think it was Steven that put it up there. I believe it was talking. I may be wrong. Talking about what's coming out tomorrow. I thought that was him. Georgia Guidestone's Denver Murals. Yeah. Exactly. Hold on a second. I'm going to pull up something because Sean sent this, or he posted this earlier today. If you're talking about depopulation, I want you to take a look at this. This is kind of interesting. I believe it was Sean. I hope it was Sean. Give me 2 seconds here. Yep, here it is. Here's a picture, a screenshot. This was a Google search. In 2020, we had a number of people that died suddenly at 46,600,000. In 2021, that number was 73,600,000. And this year alone, and we're only at the 12th of September, we're at 1,060,000,000 people died suddenly. You want to talk about a reduction in population? This is the screenshot from Deagle.com that has since been eliminated. They've taken this. I'm so glad we got a screenshot of this before it was deleted. But they're saying here in the United States by 2025, we're going to have a reduction of 100 million people. And worldwide, we're going to have a reduction of 6.9 billion people.
And what's the cause of that, you may ask?
Well, a number of things. I think the thing we are not supposed to talk about has a lot to do with it. And then it's going to be the lack of clean water, which we're seeing, and the food shortages. And I believe manufactured weather is going to play into that as well.
That is correct.
You
have one contest.
What's that?
You have won the contest.
What do I get? I get a cookie. In the movie Red Dawn, didn't they invade in the wintertime?
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's like a fall and winter.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Good movie. If you guys haven't watched that, I recommend it. There's a lot of truth in it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, guys, I'm going to put this out there. I'm going to sound like a broken record, but you have a very short window to prepare, and it keeps getting shorter and shorter and shorter. In the Bible, the virgins and the oil comes to mind. There was the people that were caught without the oil. Their lanterns were not full with oil, but the wise virgins filled up theirs, and they survived.
Now look at Egypt too, when they were preparing for the storms that were going to come, and they had enough to feed themselves and then some.
That's right.
I mean, don't just do it for yourself. Do it to help your fellow man.
Yeah. Exactly. My husband, he knows I'm live. He's so bored. My poor guy. I feel so bad for him. He's on his way to Idaho, and he's just endless, just driving through just nothingness out there. Watch the original, not the crappy remake. From the Tennessee. Yeah. Well, yes, Ozark. Ozark is actually going to put us into tomorrow night. This is actually going to be a 2-part show. Well, or whatever. It's going to be a different show, but tomorrow night we want to talk about the Vatican and how they are pulling back their wealth. They have until the 31st of September, and we're going to talk about what that actually means and what the ramifications of that are going to have. There's so much going on toward the end of this year. We've got, you guys, are you aware of all the concerts that have been canceled from now until the end of the year? They know something's up. They know something is coming. I firmly believe that.
That they're loading up the bunkers.
Yeah. Yeah. So
let us to fend for ourselves, right?
Well, I would like to think that we have a large enough community that we don't have to, fend for ourselves. I started talking to people way back in 2014 that, you guys need to find people in your area and get friendly with them and to create a co-op. I don't think it's, it might be too late to do that, but to make a co-op, people in your area. Look at, when shit hits the fan, hey, look at, I've got 5 cups of rice. I'll trade you that for 5 cups of beans, or 2 cups of beans, or I've got some honey. I'll trade you that for, whatever. Create a co-op with your neighbors. Don't let people you don't know into it. But if you are friendly with your neighbors, because I'm going to tell you something, safety is going to be in numbers, and you're going to want your neighbors to be your friend, not your foe.
And one of the best things you can do is keep your gas tanks full if you can.
Yeah.
Because if those of you who are living in the cities, that is the worst place to be.
Yeah. I know. Believe me, I know. I've been hearing, flee the cities for a long time. I know when I first moved here to Chicago, um, a lot of my friends, a lot of my truther friends questioned me. They're like, "You sure you want to move to Chicago? Don't you remember Guccifer's prediction for Chicago?" But you know what? I'm where I'm supposed to be, and I'm sure when the time comes, I have a number of places to go. I'll be heading south. I'll be headed into Texas.
I'll be going down too.
So, anyways, all right. So tomorrow night we're going to talk about the Vatican and some other things, right?
Yes, we are. And stay tuned. Got a lot of cool stuff coming down the pipeline. Well, I wouldn't say cool, but it's
a lot of
going to be
interesting,
very
a lot
interesting.
of information.
Yes.
A lot of information. We're looking at some Egypt stuff. We don't want to give too much away, but the truth about Egypt and the ties to the United States. I think that's a better way of saying it, right?
I would say so.
We're looking into Tartaria and the mud floods. We're looking into the past resets and what they mean. I don't think we're being told the truth about what a reset really is. People automatically assume a financial reset or a financial reset. I think it has more. There's more to it than that. It's way deeper than that. So we're going to take a look at the past, and I'm using air quotes here, resets, and take a look at what they really mean when they say that. So, all right. Any last, yes, human reset. You're Ozark Mike. You are on the path of that. It doesn't mean what they're telling us it means. So, any final thoughts, Ernie?
Only to rely on the Most High. I mean, I know there's some of you out there that don't have the resources to be able to acquire things you need to prepare, but I mean, the best thing you can do is put your faith and trust in the Most High. He will provide for you. Everything goes back to the cross. I mean, the Bible predicted all of this thousands of years ago. That is your instruction manual to be able to survive the end times. So get into that word, study it, pray, and just put everything on the shoulders of the Most High.
Exactly. Get into the word. Get your foundation. Build that foundation. Prepare. All right. That's all we got for you guys tonight. I'll have the link up. I'll put all the links in the description below for you guys to look at everything that I have pulled up for you here. I will put the link up in the morning for tomorrow night's show, but that'll be the same time, 8 o'clock Central Time, 9 o'clock Eastern. Is Jamie still in here? Jamie's still in chat?
I haven't seen him chat in a while.
All right. I don't know if he's going to have a show tonight or not. I know Jamie's over on... Huh?
He has one at 11.
Is he going to be over on YouTube or is he going to be over on BitChute?
Rumble.
Rumble.
Yep.
Me over on Rumble? I don't know.
That is correct.
Oh, he is going to be on Rumble. Okay. Yeah, I know he got his channel taken down again on YouTube, guys. So you can find Southern Truth over on Rumble. I will get that link for you too. So, all right. Hope you guys take advantage of the information we provided today. And remember, we do not try to tell you these things to scare you. We try to tell you these things to keep you informed so that you can prepare for what is coming. So until next time, I want to thank everybody in the chat room. I want to thank all of our moderators. And we will see you again tomorrow night, same time, same channel. And remember, Ernie, why don't you take us out?
Eyes open, no fear.